And now we're moving on to episode 4. Y'all, this is a long one today, okay? These were some meaty episodes. Stay with me. So we start episode 4 where we left off with episode 2. They are right at the castle wall, right? Right after the kiss, all right? Ivy was looking at him like, oh, then he leans in as if to kiss her again, but whispers, there's a camera pointing at us. So this was for show. Womp womp. So he's a good actor because that smoochy smooch looked 100% real to me, baby. But sure enough, we see a camera clicking away in the background. Hee-Ju immediately fixes her hair and goes, did they get our best angle? Should we do that again? And I'm like, I feel you, girl. One time with a camera. But Ian is just laughing because it's painfully apparently he finds everything she does absolutely adorable. And same, bro. She leans in again, closing her eyes, and he's just giggling. Excuse me, sir. Mother is serious. She wants another smoochy smooch. So the title pops up. And I don't know if I mentioned before, but there's like a hair stick inserted through the title of The Perfect Crown. It's subtle, but it's like eye-catching. So then, boom, we're in the next day. It dawns. We see Ian walking. Once again, he is busting a fit. Stylist Nuna. Yes. You understood the assignment. We move into a boardroom type area. Ian is at the head of the table, surrounded by the Prime Minister, Jong-woo, Lord Ipyong, who I call Lord Ip, and a whole bunch of other important looking cats. As you can imagine, Ian is making major headlines with his relationship with our girl Hee-Ju. The officials are like, we got to be careful, but Ian is like, the longer we're quiet, the greater the commotion, which, yeah, let's just put out a statement. Then he drops his bomb. Are y'all expecting me to deny this? I am the Grand Prince. If I smooch with this woman and deny it, that is not honor. And I'm like, yes. And I'm like, period, poo. But of course, the old heads start up with, but she's a commoner. And so then Lord Ip, or whatever his name is, jumps in and is like, and she illegitimate. Oh, he done pissed me off. Do not come for mother. Don't do it. Ian eyeballs him, but before he can strike, Prime Minister Bae, Jong-woo, jumps in and says, you know what? Announce it. Confirm it. Everybody at the table is looking at him like, what? But we know mother was ready. She didn't already talk to Jong-woo, all right? She got Sunbae on her side. So, he goes, announce you two are dating, but state that the relationship is new and marriage ain't on the table yet. Lord on my nerves tries to protest, but Prime Minister Bae is calm and level-headed. He's basically like, look, couples fall in and out of love all the time. It's no biggie. But Lord Ip, whatever, being the habitual line stepper that he is, says, okay, fine, but she can't stay at your house no more. Who you running? Ian looks him dead in the eye and says, absolutely not. He reminds them that she was attacked, egged, and people took pictures of her on secured palace grounds. What if something happens to her? That's a no. Ani yo. If something happens to her, will you take responsibility? Joker. Lord Ip is just sitting there looking like, oh, I done made him big mad. Oops. Then Prince Ian goes a step further. We could separate, or she could eventually become the crown prince's wife. Lord Ip's eyes dang near cross. And the Prime Minister looked like he ready to blow just a straight gasket. And the dudes at the table are like, your highness, don't be foolish. Oh my God, what are you saying? But Ian is unbothered. Hey, my residence is home to many. The cats, the gods, the servants. What's one more person? So Prime Minister Bae tries to compromise. Like, okay, if she's staying there and she's safe there, then you need to stay at the palace. That way y'all not shacking up. Because the whole royal family is not jiving with this living arrangement. And as a side note, I love Prime Minister Bae's skin. It's yummy. And the mole by his mouth. I got a crush. Okay. So he tells Ian they need to stop the rumors. And you can tell he's got a point. So now we flash to Lord Ip. And he's talking to crazy Debbie Mama, who is absolutely crashing out again about the relationship being approved. Because Shane wants that to happen. She's yelling, breathing hard. And I'm like, sis, you're going to have a heart attack. You should calm down. Or maybe get angrier, whatever. So she feels like even if they don't get married, approving the relationship gives Hee-Ju status and credibility. What that got to do with you? You got your stuff. Why you trying to stop me? You trying to stop my game? So she's spiraling, panicking about Ian taking her to an official event. So finally, Lord Ip yells at her and goes, this is your fault. You knew about this. Had you left them alone, it might not have spiraled out of control. You know how it is with kids. If you ignore it, they stop. But if you go against it, then you make them want to be together. And I'm like, I hate to give you credit, but you're kind of right. So they were hoping to shift public opinion against Ian, but the public actually likes this story. They love it. A prince and a commoner. Give me Cinderella. Now the public is turning against Debbie Mama for hating on the new it couple. So Debbie Mama's looking downcast that people clocked her disdain for Hiju, and baby, you smell of it. You reek of it. And Lord Ip tells her just to prove it and I'll take care of the rest. And she raises her eyebrow and was like, what are you about to do? And he says, listen, noblemen, businessmen, they all want to be the prince's father-in-law. They'll do whatever it needs to keep her in check. What y'all about to do to mother? I'll fight for mother. Y'all better leave her alone. Immediately, my spider senses are tingling. This dude and his daughter are nefarious, and I'm still not convinced they didn't have something to do with the former king's death. I said what I said. Lord Ip finishes with, if something goes wrong, I don't think it would be a surprise to anyone. And I'm like, foreshadowing. You best behave around mother. I don't play about mother. All right, I will go up for Hiju. So in the news, they officially announced relationship from the palace that isn't a marriage or engagement, which is totally taboo. They've never done this before. Hiju and the servants are watching it in the breakfast room as they drink their tea and eat their treats. They have blacklisted former royal spokesperson on TV giving commentary while the maids gossip. I don't know why I went British. We in Korea. I can't do a Korean accent. But he says something that catches my attention. This blacklisted guy was fired because he kept insisting that the former king was murdered and it wasn't an accident. Did you hear what I said? He kept insisting that the former king was murdered and that it wasn't an accident. I've been saying that. My spider senses are never wrong. The TV guy says that with the pictures and the kissing, the palace had like no choice to acknowledge it. And he was looking like a little sheepish about the kissing pics. So then Ian walks in looking like a whole meal. Yummy. The servants stand up, but Hiju just looks completely uninterested. Meanwhile, the bro on TV says it's unlikely they'll get married, but if I know a K-drama like I know a K-drama, baby, no, this ain't no K-drama unless K is for kill, mama. You don't know that song. So Hiju gives Ian a look that could kill, as the TV guy says the royal family will never accept a commoner. Then the news flashes a front page picture of their smooch smooch. Hiju is still complaining about the angle and valid. If we're going to sell it, let's sell it. She says they look like toddlers on a G-rated show. Ian is stunned. We kissed. And that is what you worried about? You ain't thinking about the fact that we kissed each other for the first time, okay? She basically tells him sex sells and they needed to make it naughty, not goody. She says just dating was too plain to meet their objective. Hey, she's a saleswoman. So she starts listing other scenarios that would have worked better, leaving Ian looking completely flummoxed. Then she starts thinking and licks her lips. And our naughty prince is totally entranced by her tongue. What you think about the kiss? Just a kiss? Keep it PG, sir. This is the K-drama. Suddenly she grabs his face. We need a speedy wedding so we can have a speedy divorce. Dang, girl. He's looking at her like he wants a slow honeymoon, if you ask me, but that ain't none of my business. He gathers himself and says, look, a royal wedding is done in steps. And she says, baby, I ain't got time for steps. And he's like, a shotgun wedding? That's what you want? And she's like, yeah, we can give them time to object to this if we wait. And then she leans right into his space, like, they be invading each other's space while he's sitting in a chair. And is like, are you free today? And usually he's the one leaning in and encroaching on her space. So this role reversal is kind of fun. Baby boy looks shocked-ish, and I'm enjoying it. So he's gripping his chair like, I'm not sure why. And she leans in even closer. Do you want to go somewhere with me? I'll speed things up a little bit. And he's still thinking about that slow honeymoon. You can see it in his eyes. Slow honeymoon, what you mean? So next thing we know, Stuart Kim is doing her hair, telling her to be still, and literally hits her with the comb. I cackled. He's complaining that people were talking down about the type of woman the prince chose after seeing them kissing over the wall. And he was offended. She's like, those sweats that I wore, that sweatsuit was expensive. Like, that's top of the line. I'm a baddie. Whatever do you mean? And she's right. She was looking good. He tells her hair is like a jungle. And I'm like, no, it ain't. And goes right back at it. Meanwhile, HOA is canceling the prince's entire agenda and complaining that tomorrow's workload is going to be insane. Yeah, okay. Ian mentions that Hiju wants to be like Princess Diana. HOA laughs, and I'm like, don't laugh. Hiju is played by IU. She could definitely be Diana, baby. Don't do her like that. Ian notes that public responses will die down over time, which is exactly what Debbie Mama wants. So his plan is to keep public interest high. So Hiju finally comes out. Her hair is done up beautifully, but she's wearing a business-like dress in a pattern that honestly was not my favorite. I'm sorry. I've loved the wardrobe throughout the show. Stylist Nuna, you still my girl, but this dress was a hard pass. She cute, the dress. Her hair was cute, but the dress not so much. So at first it looks like Prince Ian loves it. He looks kind of dumbstruck as she walks out in slow-mo. And Stuart Kim asks, don't you think she looks pretty? Yapuda? Angelic? And Ian plays it off. I do not. That is a wannabe princess look, not a real one. And I was like, ouch, ow. Of course, IU stomps away upset. And I don't blame her. Because, like, not you told me I look like a wannabe princess. Not that he was wrong. But, dang, boy. And I hated her dress, so go change. So she walks away, and Ian is laughing because he can't help himself. And Stuart Kim and A. Choi are confused. They're like, we liked it. He's in a suit. She was in a dress. They complimented each other. It made sense. Why is he being difficult? But Hiju shows them because she comes back out in sneakers, jeans, and the cute little houndstooth ball cap that I need because I love houndstooth. And I looked it up online. I found it. So Ian looks highly interested, and I get it. We're celebrating a prince falling in love with a commoner, right? Commoner clothing, common woman. Make her relatable. Don't make her look like a princess. Keep her on level with the people. Minus the fact that she's a hugely wealthy CEO, but whatever. So Stuart Kim is trying to get her to change. He tries to lead her away, and Ian stops him and offers his arm. She hesitates, takes it, gives the staff a saucy look, and they walk off. So they're in the car, and Hiju is using a handheld mirror to fix her hair. She casually grabs Ian's hand and has him hold the mirror for her, like right here, while she's just in the mirror and primping. Kamsamita. Choi peeks in the rearview mirror, and he's like, don't you think this is a bit plain? Like, talking about her clothes. And Hiju, I thought she purposefully misunderstands, but she might have really thought he was talking about Ian. She looks at Ian and is like, yeah, his clothes are dull and old-fashioned. You can't shake mother. So she reaches over to snatch out his pocket square. He tries to fight her for it. And she's like, are you shy? What are you? And he's like, what are you doing? She snatches it out. And it's like, okay, that looks better. Agree to disagree. I like the pocket square. And she asks A. Choi, does it look better? And he's like, I was talking about you. And she's annoyed, as I would be. And she's like, how could you call me plain? Have you seen me? She makes Ian hold the mirror up higher and pretends to be blinded. She's like, oh, I'm dazzling. I love her. Okay, she's a vibe. She's a vibe. So Ian looks shocked first and then so incredibly amused that he has to look out the window and laugh because the Grand Prince is smitten with this woman. And A. Choi just gives up and takes his rearview mirror off her and continues on. So they end up at a baseball game, which she is dressed perfectly for. It makes sense. The fans are super colorful and excited, so we kind of see the spin around of the fans. But A. Choi is stressed, and he's like, should I call the Royal Guard for security? We ain't used to being here like this. And the team playing is the Sharks. I don't know if that's a real Korean team, but I love it. The Sharks. I'm here for it. So Hiju comes back with stacks, a jersey, and a headband. We love a headband. I should have put my headband on. It's all right. So Ian, as usual, looks amused by everything she does. She holds up a jersey and says, XL, right? We got couples jerseys. But dang it, A. Choi is a killjoy. He's like, Ian is not allowed to support a team. No political views, no sports team. A royal's private life is never private because it shows bias. I'm so glad the Pope is from Chicago and he loves all Chicago teams. So blessed. So Hiju looks undone, realizing they could have gone viral with matching jerseys. So she hands the jerseys to A. Choi and he starts dancing excitedly. She's like, okay, me and you can have matching jerseys. But Ian immediately is like, not for me matching my girl, period. He tells him he can't wear it either, grabs his umbrella and follows Hiju, the umbrella, to block the sun. Yeah, for us fair-skinned baddies. And who do we run into? Her idiot brother and his wife, who I will never, I still can't remember the name. So the brother greets them with a loud "ya," which means hey in Korean, and then snaps. Why didn't you answer your phone? He's so rude. But then they spot Prince Ian and immediately they start bowing and scraping on USL. Choi blocks them from getting too close, and the brother's like semi-smart wife drags him back, whispering not to speak to His Royal Highness unless spoken to. So Ian extends his hand to shake the brothers, and this idiot grabs it way too eagerly, and Ian says, Hee-Ju told me a lot about you. And the brother's like, she talked about me? Because he know it ain't finna be nothing good. He should be nervous. So the prince smoothly removes the brother's hand because he held on to it for too long and reaches to shake the wife's, and she immediately brags about her father being the former Prime Minister of Justice. So Ian congratulates her on having a commendable father, and Hee-Ju just looks aggravated that they're even here. So next thing you know, the game starts, and sexy Prime Minister Bae Jung-woo is throwing the opening pitch wearing a Sharks jersey. Apparently, the Prime Minister can have a bias in the team. Go Oppa. So Hee-Ju is cheering him on. Oppa! I wish he was my Oppa. He pitches, it's good, the crowd goes wild. They talk about how he formerly wanted to play baseball. And obviously the people really love him, so he must be a good prime minister. Hee-Ju's chanting his name, and Ian looks like he does not like us celebrating another dude, if you catch my drift. So next thing you know, we get a montage of the game. Even young King Yoon is like watching at home and cheering so loud that the maid ends up tripping and dropping his favorite little corn dog, the one Lord Ip sent. Yoon is like, I'll eat it anyway. And he picks it up because classic 30-second rule of a kid, blows it off and goes to eat it. And the maid snatches it away and he pouts. I guess kings can't do the 30-second rule. Back at the game, Hee-Ju is primping next to a very regal, very stiff, erect posture prince. And her brother tries to turn around and talk to him, but gets blocked by Hee-Ju and his wife. Like, baby, don't do that. So then the prime minister joins them, and Hee-Ju lights up, Oppa, I thought you left. He's like, I was asked not to waste a good photo op. And immediately they're shown on like the stadium big screen, like waving. And Hee-Ju tries to get Ian to scoot over so the prime minister can sit. But Ian is looking at her like, you want me to scoot over? So Hee-Ju tries to mollify him by offering him a hot dog. But alas, royals are not allowed to eat in public places, which sucks. So Prime Minister Bae Jung-woo explains that food quality and safety can't be guaranteed, so he can't be seen eating. That's crazy. Hee-Ju is horrified. Will I have to follow those rules? Valid question, girly pop. Next thing you know, they're on the kiss cam. The crowd is chanting for the little lip lock. Choi is hopping around, waving his arms like, no, 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 no. The prime minister is whispering to someone to get them off the screen, and Ian leans in to whisper into Hee-Ju's ear. It's kind of hot. I don't know what he said, but she bites her lip. And then she kind of like smirks a little bit. And I'm like, did he say slow honeymoon? Sorry. The crowd is still chanting, kiss, kiss, kiss. So Hee-Ju smartly blocks the camera with her phone to uphold his decorum. She puts it on, she types it on her cell phone. He can't kiss to uphold his decorum, right? And so the crowd kind of stops. They leave the stadium after the game, I assume, and security guards with umbrellas. Security guards are blocking the cameras with umbrellas. Like they're all down the steps with these huge black umbrellas, and they're blocking the cameras. And Hee-Ju is trying to get pictures taken of them for publicity. That's the whole point of her doing this. But the guards are literally like barricading them from all these people trying to snap shots. So up walks Prime Minister Bae, and he says to Hee-Ju, let's go to dinner. And Hee-Ju's like, Oppa, we just ate 2 corn dogs. You're still hungry? And he says, girl, that's not enough to fill you up. He know her appetite. Remember that thing you wanted? And Hee-Ju smiles wild and goes, that thing? And I'm like, what is that thing? Girl, you know you better. Okay. Meanwhile, Ian's looking absolutely blue. Like, no, you didn't just walk up to my woman. You trying to riz my girl up right in front of me. And then to add insult to injury, Hee-Ju turns to Ian and says, Your Highness, you're going back to the palace, right? I'm going to go eat with Jung-woo. And Ian snaps, I'll come with you. And yes, go with them. Block that up. Your Highness, he covers by saying, we came together, so we'll leave together, or it will look odd. But we're all clocking the pure jealousy coming out of this man. So he opens the car door for her. She smirks, saunters over, tries to wave at the crowd, but nobody can see her over the guards with umbrellas. So her little comically chaotic self, she's jumping up, trying to jump so they could see her. They through the umbrellas. And I'm like, Hee-Ju, you 5'4". They not finna find you. So A-Choi is jumping in front of her as well to block her. And I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It was cute though. So Jungwoo is just laughing at her attempts and it's adorable. Once she gets in, Ian slams the door, walks over to Jungwoo and says, you don't seem to be very busy. Like, shouldn't you be doing some work? And Jungwoo is looking like, what is he talking about? And I'm like, he telling you to go find something to do and get up off his lady. Cause yeah. So they end up going to dinner, and Hee-Ju sits right next to Jungwoo. They look quite cozy. Like, if I was her man, I would be jealous. Ian is on the other side of the table. He's watching the Prime Minister, hand her sauce and kind of cater to her likes, her food likes, like he knows. Apparently, that thing that she was talking about and he was talking about was fresh sushi. That feels like a tongue twister. Fresh sushi. And an abundance of it. Is a big thing of fresh sushi. Sashimi. So Hee-Ju tells Ian, hey, start eating so we can dig in. But Jungwoo's like, I told you this was a bad idea. Why? Because a royal can never eat raw food. Dang. It's messed up. So many rules. So the Prime Minister's like, hey, I can order you some soup. They got soup. It's a private room. So technically he can't eat because it's not public. But Ian declines. And Hee-Ju is tripping out. She's like, you can't eat raw food? What about sashimi? What about steak tartare? She lists all these raw foods. And Ian explains that the risk of food poisoning is too high for a royal. Golly. So she's like, this is really restrictive. And Mother's like, what? She didn't know what she was signing up for. So Hee-Ju lets out a cuss word that says, it's all bull. And both men look in shock like, dang, what did she can't say that? It was hilarious. And Ian gasps like, girl, wait a minute. But Hee-Ju is too busy ranting about how unfair it is. How can you enjoy life with so many restrictions? And of course, Prime Minister Bae jumps right in. And he's like, that's why you shouldn't marry him. Too many restrictions. I see you, sir. Okay. But this triggers a flashback for our poor prince. He got a lot of trauma. And we see Ian and his older brother as kids. And they're playing with toy cars. Normal kid stuff. So young Ian asks his brother if he can try on his dragon robe. And the dragon robe is important because it denotes his brother as next in line for the throne. But his brother agrees. He's a kid. He's like, sure, try it on. So in walks King Daddy. And he literally smacks the taste out of Ian's mouth. Probably couldn't taste that sashimi if he tried, because his daddy smacked all taste out of his mouth when he was about 8 years old. So he yells at Ian, know your place. Mind you, the poor sugar can't be more than 8, like I said in this flashback. And my heart breaks because we see young Ian just walking down the hallway, crying all alone, while his dad's voiceover echoes, you can't wear red. That's the king's color. You can't walk ahead of him. The king must always lead. You must follow rules. Blah, 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 blah. Ian snaps out of the flashback and quietly places a piece of sashimi on Hee-Ju's plate. But he does it so slowly that at first I think they think that he's about to eat it. And like the Prime Minister looking like, ooh, ooh. And Hee-Ju looking like, ooh. But he just places it on her plate. And he says, enjoy it while you can. Ouch. I couldn't give up sushi. After the wedding, you won't be able to. Look, I love sushi. I love sashimi. I'd have to seriously rethink this marriage for food alone. That's how I feel. Fat girl problems. But Hee-Ju just nods and she eats, smiling happily, because speedy wedding, speedy divorce in her head. Like, it'll only be for a little while, like a diet, which Ian makes. He smiles because he's smitten. So then the scene skips, and the servant who acts like a total mother hen is lecturing Ian about eating at a raw fish restaurant and going to a ball game. Lady Choi. A-Choi looks completely repentant. This lady is harping about proper decorum, which Ian followed, but she's furious that Hee-Ju did not. And Ian defends her. He's like, she's not in the royal family yet. But Lady Choi snaps back. She's a reflection of you now. You're a couple. You're together. What she does reflects on you, which valid. And then she yells at poor A-Choi. And I'm like, what was he supposed to do? Tackle her? Then mother hen, Lady Choi, decides she's going to step in and personally teach Hee-Ju proper etiquette. Hee-Ju's taking on more than she bargained for. Oh, God. So the lady bows and leaves, and A-Choi and Prince Ian have like a minor semi-quiet spaz out before quickly resuming their poker faces. Neither of them know how to get her out of this. And, Lady Choi is claiming that she's tamed many a wild woman. Girl, what? And now Heejoo has a new teacher. Meanwhile, Heejoo is leaving for work. The servants are crowding around her, trying to make sure she eats breakfast. It's really sweet how they dote on her, but she kind of waves them off. She steps outside only to find that Lady Choi is waiting for her in the driveway. So she introduces herself as Court Lady Choi. And when she said her name at this moment, I was like, oh, she A. Choi's mama. Why didn't I catch that before? I done watched it a couple times. That's A. Choi's mama. And that's why he looked so scared when she was berating them. So before Lady Choi can even start her spiel, Heejoo gets a call from Miss Doe like, hey, are you here yet? She's like, oh, I'm on my way. She's late to get to the office. So Heejoo kind of rushes out and leaves Lady Choi looking mad, standing in the driveway. So later in the car, Heejoo is on the phone with Ian and he's cracking up laughing because she done left Lady Choi standing in the driveway. And he breaks the news that Lady Choi wants to teach her etiquette. And Heejoo is like, it's a waste of my time, but I'll submit to being taught. Like, whatever, I'll do what I need to do. They hang up and Ian is just so amused and tickled by her. Like, he always laughing at her. And as I'm reading my exact thoughts, A. Choi pops into the frame. Are you sure you two weren't close in school? Invalid, because you seem like you didn't like her forever. Ian asks why, and A. Choi laughs, because y'all are so good together. High key, they definitely match. High key. So, meanwhile, Heejoo and Miss Doe are going through, Miss Doe are going through like her full schedule at the office. And suddenly someone who used to be in her brother's social circle wants to join hers, which she thinks is really sudden. And Miss Doe smirks just like when you was kissing Ian over the wall. And I'm like, Miss Doe, you so messy. I love it. So Heejoo literally spits out her drink and Miss Doe starts asking the juicy questions. So girl, was he a good kisser? Heejoo panics, what? And Miss Doe laughs, well, somebody was blushing. Ew. So he just starts making excuses about it being warm outside. But Miss Doe was like, I didn't mean you, I meant him. Were you having a good time too, girl? I was like, Miss Doe. That's why I love Miss Doe. So Heejoo trying to act tough. She's like, I'm not a kid. One little kiss is not gonna get me all hot and bothered. And Miss Doe's eyes go wide. Oh, so he was bad at it. Yeah, he probably inexperienced. Valid thought process. And because a good kiss. So Heejoo defends him. He hasn't dated. And Miss Doe says if he has, nobody has ever heard or seen it. And Heejoo mutters, nah, I think he dated. That kiss was a good kiss. Miss Doe clocks it instantly. So the kiss was better than expected. And Heejoo starts to agree before catching herself. I told y'all I love Miss Doe. She good. So next we flashed her idiot brother and conniving sister-in-law. I swear this dude never works. They out shoe shopping. He buying his wife shoes. And listen, I love to shoe shop. But I need you to make that shmoney first. Just sell. Her affiliation with the prince has already opened massive doors. They're gossiping because Prime Minister Jung-woo invited Heejoo to the prestigious round table. It's something that their whack Appa Castle has been begging and sucking up to join for years with no dice. Serves him right. He sucks. The brother's complaining, but his wife is actually smart. She's like, hey, which would you prefer? Heejoo as royalty or Heejoo running Castle Group, which is what the brother wants to run. He says neither, but she points out that if Heejoo becomes royalty, she cannot run Castle Group because they're not allowed to do that as royalty. And then her lazy brother would be the only one to inherit it. It would go straight to him. But also I think the company would go bankrupt because his lazy tail is stupid. So the brother still doesn't like it. And he's like, what if they get divorced? And the wife grabs his face. They're not allowed to divorce. If they were, Ian would have ascended the throne by now. She convinces him that he needs to buy Heejoo a gift and support this royal marriage so he can take over Castle Group and run it into the ground. She grabs his face again. Who does Taegu belong to? So I guess his name is Taegu. It's my first time knowing that. He answers, Daeyoung. That's his wife's name. Again, first time knowing this. And Castle Group belongs to me, he says. They're interesting. They're toxic. But they're in love. Elsewhere, Heejoo is getting fitted for clothes, and Miss Doe notices that she's not driving her fancy red sports car anymore. She's getting chauffeured around. And she's like, ooh, your man won't let you drive? And Heejoo rolls her eyes and is like, basically like, you got me bent. He don't have that much control over me. My car's being repaired. Someone hit my bumper and drove off. And so Miss Doe is looking concerned. And she's like, who hit your bumper? But Heejoo's like, I don't know. A lot of people want to crash my car lately, it seems. And Miss Doe looks worried, rightfully so. This feels like foreshadowing. And it is. So Heejoo comes home to the prince's private residence, absolutely loaded with shopping bags. I spotted Chanel and multiple other designers. Get it, girl? Looks like a successful run to me. The servants run out to her sister, being super attentive, asking if she's eaten, taking her bags. Stuart Kim orders dinner for her, but then here comes Lady Choi. You're late, ma'am. The servants immediately scatter under her stern look. She is a bit intimidating. Heejoo smiles, but next thing we know, she's sitting in a chair with Lady Choi circling her, holding a ruler-type object that is probably about 5 inches longer than a ruler. It's kind of big. And Heejoo tries to be gracious. I understand. I must learn. Lady Choi silences her. You cannot repeat your words. You sound frivolous. Don't drag out your words. Then she launches into like this massive stream about royal conduct. It makes my head hurt just listening to it. So I know Heejoo is miserable. They start with posture. My mother always got on me about that. Standing posture is acceptable, Lady Choi says. She tells her to walk with vigor, and Heejoo comically kind of like prances across the floor in her blinged out Crocs. It was pretty great. Meanwhile, my poor baby Yoon, back at the palace, is getting scolded by Debbie Mama across town for not being able to stand still. Posture shows dignity. Don't bow your head, she reminds him. He's 8. He's 8. So Heejoo being Heejoo back at the princess private residence, we just got a glimpse of baby boy, has somehow turned the tables. She's now teaching Pilates poses to Lady Choi. She's working out knots in the lady's shoulders. She's stretching her arms. She's so sneaky. It's completely apparent how she became a successful CEO. And in the middle of this, Ian walks in. Is this discipline? He says. And Heejoo literally runs into this man's arms, wraps her body around his so dramatically that Ian is blushing. Everyone is watching. He says, she whines, if you don't get Lady Choi the halibutoozy out of here. Lady Choi walks over. What are you doing here? And I'm like, girl, this his house. And Ian says he hasn't been home in a while, and Lady Choi tells him to get back to the castle because the gates are about to be closing, but Heejoo won't let go of his ways. So Ian asserts his dominance. He tells Lady Choi her duty is at the castle tonight and orders her to come with him. She protests, but she has to go because he says, I command it. And I'm like, period. So Heejoo's still hanging on to his waist, looks highly impressed. Lady Choi finally agrees, and she leaves. Heejoo smiles up at Ian, and he low-key loves having her all over him. You can't tell me different. So the next day, Ian and Prime Minister Jung-woo are playing chess and discussing foreign tour preparations. So I guess he goes overseas and stuff. So mid-conversation, Ian is like, you won't stop me from getting married? I thought you'd try at least once. And Jung-woo laughs, no, I won't stop you. So they're playing chess, making power moves, looks really cool. Jung-woo tells him, hey, you're in a position to make your own decisions. If I step in, the country would be in ruins. Basically, I gotta let you be a man about yours. Then he hits him with a checkmate and captures Ian's queen. Oink, oink. You trying to capture my woman, ain't ya? Ain't ya? Ian tells him, go ahead and curse me out. But Jung-woo says the fire incident has been handled, the one where they tried to implicate Heejoo in starting it, and assures him that Debbie Mama won't be asking him any more questions. So cut back to the residence, and somehow Lady Choi is already back in Heejoo's face. My poor girl. She's using a very cool, clear board as a whiteboard while Heejoo sits there taking notes. Today she's learning about royal funeral rites, which, as we remember, she doesn't know much about that. She tries to ask the question. Lady Choi snaps, don't interrupt. Dang. She starts talking about the late queen's funeral. We get a flashback of younger Ian bawling his eyes out with his mom's death. And it's been 20 years since her passing. So mom, the queen, died in 2005. King Daddy passed 7 years ago in 2012. And then Ian's older brother, the former king, King Song-joon, I found out passed just 3 years ago. So Yoon is seen wailing and Ian looking completely despondent when the former king, his brother, Song-joon, died. So all of these tragic deaths made it so that the palace decided to have royal funeral rites completely private from the public. So Heejoo starts to fake cry, pulling tissue from a Kleenex box, and she says she finally understands the massive chip on Ian's shoulder. And Lady Choi is looking confused. Heejoo's like, I need a moment alone. And she's like totally hamming it up to get out of the lesson. And it works because she runs out. So next thing we know, she's laying in her bed. She's curled up reading up on the royal family's deaths. And we get even more major foreshadowing. She reads that the queen died in a car accident. The king Appa died of a heart attack. And Song Joong, Ian's brother, died in a fire. So it's all a little sus if you ask me. She flashes back to Ian fussing about what she fed Yoon and realizes why he's so fiercely protective of Yoon. Trauma, baby. Trauma. She feels for him, so she calls Prince Ian, but there's no answer. My poor little Hiju pouts. And sighs. Woo, 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 mother. The scene cuts back to Prince Ian sitting with Debbie Mama, and they're awkward, uncomfortable looking, this awkward, just uncomfortable looking chick. And Debbie Mama introduces her as her new closest companion recently. But we've already clocked her game. She's trying to hook Ian up with this chick. This little timid thing. Ain't no competition for Hiju. So there is a correspondence dinner coming up the next day. And Debbie Mama's like, I'm not feeling well. So I can't go. You can take her instead. The girl's father owns a major newspaper. So apparently this is like a political alliance here. And Debbie Mama claims she'll be helpful at the event, but Ian is not going for it. He knows, lately you've been sick a lot. You okay? She replies, I have so much to concern myself with. Not your son. So Ian calls over Court Lady M. And when Court Lady comes over, he demands to know what's going on with Debbie Mama's health. And the lady kind of freezes, unable to answer. And I'm like, you should know, right? You don't, because she lied. And he goes, I know the doctor saw her. What's wrong with her? Everybody is quiet all of a sudden. You must be failing in your duties. And the court lady's like, no, your highness. Then Ian drops a beautifully slick comeback. He orders that the royal doctor check Debbie Mama's health 3 times a day. And since her illness must be contagious, she can't have any private audiences. They are strictly forbidden by royal command of the prince, including Lord Ipyong and our little baby King Yoon. Yes, he did. Gasp. I gotta give it to him. This is masterful. This is a get back. Because it's about time somebody gave this chick some smoke. He's basically like, Tuka, play this game. You gonna be sick all the time and have me doing all your work? I got you. You on lockdown now. Sit alone in your room and scheme half by yourself. So she just sit there sipping her tea like she unbothered. But Ian is not playing today. You're sick. Go get some rest, he says. I'll be attending that event alone. He leaves. The mousy girl is like, oh, I feel bad. I upset the prince. And I'm like, girl, he's not even thinking about you. Who is you again? But Debbie Mama tells her, don't worry. To have a successful hunt, one needs more patience than anything else. What you hunting, girl? You hunting Prince Bay? Your thirst for power is insane. I will concede, though, that she does have nice eyes. But I'm keeping my compliments light. So the prince walks down the hallway looking pissed and frankly gorgeous. What is it about angry men with sharp jawlines? So he's got that little swagger when he walks in. I dig it. Then he tells Aishoy to do a thorough background check on the chick the queen tried to foist on him. Then he changes his mind. It's like, no. Do a check on the newspaper that her daddy owns first. By the way, his jacket in this scene, giving. So Aishoy informs Ian that Hiju has called multiple times. In fact, he says several times. And then he hands the prince his phone. It was 3 missed calls. Let's distinguish between several and a few times, okay? Not too desperate. But he calls her right back. And Hiju is laying across her bed and she jumps up at the second ring. She excitedly answers, Jagya, which in subtitles it says highness or your highness. But he tells her, make it quick, I'm busy. So she's immediately blue. Like, I called you 3 times. You didn't ask if I was okay first or nothing. So she starts crashing out. She starts to crash out, but she catches herself. She takes a breath and she chants to herself. She has her phone in her hand. She's like, don't scream at him. He's gone through a lot. He's gone through tough times. He doesn't deserve it. I'm like, yes, deep breaths, mother. Because I probably would have snapped back. She's a patient one. So finally she speaks into the phone. I'll only say this once, so pay attention. I'm on your side. Nationwide is on your side. There's a long pause and he looks completely shocked. She continues telling him that if you're successful, I'm successful. We're a team type of vibe. Even adding that, like, as a husband and wife, we must stand together. We must be united. But she quickly adds a disclaimer so he doesn't get a big head. I'm not obsessed with you, so don't get excited. I'm just saying I got your back. So he's staring at the phone looking like she just personally healed the broken piece of him. Trauma, trauma, trauma. It's real, boo. But he stays silent. She's like, hello? Hello? You still there? And it's adorable because her little toesies are up in the air and she looks like a tiny doll on the bed. And he hangs up on her. Yeah, he hangs up. She looks undone. I would be flummoxed as well. But I feel like dude is in love. Like, he just fell in love. Like, we got some nice romantic piano music in the background. He's got like this little miniature smile on his face. And I don't think he knows what to do. And then A. Choi comes back in and he's like, when I'm done working, I'm going to my private estate because he's you. It's a private estate. A. Choi reminds him that the prime minister explicitly told him that y'all not finna be cohabitating in these pots. And Ian just gives him a look like, and I care because. So A. Choi backtracks and is like, hey, I'll get things ready. I got you, okay? And Ian just smiling and it's cute. So this scene switches now to a prestigious, massive school. Young King Yoon is walking out of the school looking melancholy. He's alone, as usual. My poor baby. Come here. Come to auntie. And some kids are playing around and they accidentally bump into him. And the security guards completely panic. And next thing you know, there are 5 security guards surrounding these little kids. And they're like, Your Majesty, are you all right? And then they turn to yell at the kids. And the kids are just frozen in panic, and then they start like bowing and apologizing. But our cute little Yoon, he bends down, picks up a book that one of them dropped and hands it back, and he smiles and he's like, be careful. But the kids take it in like an authoritative way and they like run away scared, right? Because there's 5 massive security guards standing around them because they bumped him. So Yoon sighs and you can just tell he just wants to be a normal little dude and have friends. I'm like, give me this baby. Give me this baby. I'll let him play. I'm going to give him some fried chicken, some Korean fried chicken since he's Korean, all right? Let him have a childhood. Golly. Then out of nowhere, Prime Minister Bae pops up, Jung-woo. He looks good. And Yoon is shocked. He's like, what are you doing here? We usually see each other on Sunday. And Jung-woo gives him that smile that I wish he would. Never mind. So he says he has business Sunday, so their Sunday history lesson won't be possible. And Yoon looks delighted. Apparently history is not his favorite, okay? He flashes a big smile and he's like, official duties must come first. But Jung-woo bursts his bubble and was like, yeah, we're having our lesson today instead. So Yoon is pouting like, can't we just forget about it? And I'm like, period. And Jung-woo just smiles. Such a nice smile. Now they're in the car and Yoon is staring out the window sadly at all these normal kids playing. And he looks lonely and he says, I wish I could play. Listen, I want to fight everybody. Let this baby play. So as they're leaving what looks like a mini Hogwarts, Yoon turns to the Prime Minister and says, Mr. Min, can I ask a favor? And Jung-woo looks surprised and high-key interested. So our scene then flips to Hee-ju, who is currently enduring, and I mean enduring, an etiquette lesson with Lady Choi. She has a plate stacked on her head and a bowl on each shoulder. I was going to demonstrate this for y'all, but I'm not finna break my good flatware. So she's walking in a straight line with these things balanced upon her. And Lady Choi in her stern voice is like, smile with elegance and grace. Straighten your back. The servants are looking on, completely mesmerized by this display. And suddenly Hee-ju drops a bowl from her shoulder, because who can even do that and smash? So Lady Choi starts smacking her elongated ruler against her hand, barking, get her another bowl. So this is a bit concerning because are we really breaking the good china for etiquette lessons? We couldn't find something else. The staff rushes over with the replacement and the counting starts all over again. And the servants are whispering in the corner. Stuart Kim goes, she's going to break all the bowls by sunrise. And another maid adds, and they're expensive too, because you know they ain't got no inexpensive stuff in the private residence of the Grand Prince. Like, we couldn't use books. Like normal people, my fair lady, yes. Something less breakable. But they're gossiping about how ridiculous Lady Choi is to keep drilling her. And It's crazy. So then right then, King Yoon and the prime minister walk in. Jung-woo smiles the second he sees Hee-ju. Everyone turns to bow because the king is coming in. Hee-ju bows, and where do the plates and the bowls go? To the ground. Lady Choi is literally gasping in frustration. Hee-ju talks with Yoon off to the side, and she's teasingly asking him if he decided to play hooky today. He says, no, I decided that I wanted to see my uncle. Semantics. Now, it's interesting because Yoon seems to only feel a fondness for his uncle. I don't see any fondness towards his mother, Debbie Mama. Maybe a little bit towards Lord Ip because he gets corn dogs, but man. So even though Ian saved him and held his hand when he was scared, I don't really see, I don't know, he seems a little indifferent, but that's who Yoon likes. So Hee-ju asked if he's scheduled to visit with his uncle because apparently you got a schedule to meet with royals, as we found out in episode 1 when Hee-ju couldn't get an appointment with the prince. So Yoon looks for Mux and admits he didn't, and Hee-ju points at him and goes, you're playing hooky like I said. So Jung-woo and the nanny are giggling because they think it's cute, but Hee-ju congratulates the king. It was like, hey, everybody needs to play hooky at some point in their life. You gotta try it once. And Yoon looks so happy. You rarely see this baby smile. He looks happy. And he kind of walks off with Hee-ju chatting about what they're going to do while they play hooky. So the nanny turns to Jung-woo, the prime minister, and mentions that Yoon has been struggling a lot recently. And she asks, where the Halle Bailey is his mama? Actually, never mind. That was my question, not hers. Where the Halle Berry is his mama? Where the Halle Bailey is his mama? All right, never mind. So Jung-woo admits that Yoon is still very young in size. If only there were an age limit for being king. Valid, my love. The nanny looks uncomfortable with this because she knows about Debbie Mama's hunger for power. However, I feel you, Jung-woo. So we switch scenes to Hee-ju's brother's wife. Look, I should know their names by now, but I don't care about her, so I'm gonna go through this fast. She's having lunch with some of her frenemies. She's bragging about how her husband treats her and he's so good to her and they're so in love. But this one chick at the table is not having it. She snaps, he should be. You abandoned your family to marry him. We got Mote. So she abandoned her family to marry Hee-ju's brother. Kitty cat, meow, meow, meow. The claws are out. And sis keeps going. Everyone knows your daddy collapsed the day you got married. Threatened to disown you and forbid you from using the Han family name. Pearls clutched. Now she spilled all the family tea at Sunday brunch. So at least one of the other chicks tries to help and goes, girl, Hajima, that's old news. But the catty girl keeps running her mouth. Meanwhile, Hee-ju's sister-in-law is just sitting there smiling. She got this little dimple. I'm like, anyone who smiles like that when you're being ignorant should terrify you because you might get dragged. But if it's a K-drama, it ain't gonna happen. So I would have gave her a 2-piece and a biscuit, but they don't do that in K-dramas. That might be a B drama, a black drama. Instead, she lets the chick finish before responding smoothly. Oh, you must be living under a rock not to know that my sister-in-law with her lowly pedigree is currently dating Prince Ian. And then she smiles at her like, girl, get this work if you want to. Meow. Oh, girl is utterly gagged and seen. Next, we see her in a Mercedes-Benz driving down the street with her husband driving. She is crashing out. She is bleep, 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 that bleep, 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 crazy, bleep, 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 kicking her legs and throwing a total fit. She says, I should have dragged her by her hair. And I was like, yes, a B-drama. Her husband goes, why didn't you? I would have paid the court fees. And listen, I don't like him, but he's a good husband. He's a down husband. That's right. I would have been like, turn the car around. I'm going to go drag her now. Let me get my lick back. I kid. I'm a pacifist. Of course, she completely melts at his support. He's soaking him up, and let's move on. All right, so y'all, I am happy because the scene cuts to King Yoon finally getting to play. Hee-ju set up a game for our melancholy king, and I got so excited because finally somebody's letting him be a kid. So they're playing in the dirt with pebbles. She draws a big circle with a stick, and I'm like, they don't have Chuck E. Cheese in Korea where a kid can be a kid? But whatever. She gets the game set up and tries to get Jung-woo's attention, but he's on the call. So in true Hee-ju fashion, she's like, Opa, Min Jung-woo. Like a good little prime minister, he immediately hangs up and walks over. Where? He gets assigned the task of referee while Heeju and Yoon do bye bye go, bye bye go to see who goes first. Soon all the servants join in and Jungwoo puts on a blindfold mask and they all clap while he tries to catch them by voice alone. So they play this whole montage of games. They're all very traditional Korean games that if you've ever watched any Korean variety show or shows like that, you'll recognize him. And Yoon is having the time of his life because I don't think he's ever gotten to do this before. He's smiling, he's laughing. The staff is cheering when he wins. And when he wins the final game, he's like, I won. And the staff kind of looks at Heeju for permission and then they go up. And he's like, hey, you promised me something if I won. And she goes, did I promise something? And Yoon, in his very super cute way, goes, are you a virtuous person or a small-minded one? He got that from his mama. Guaranteed. So Heeju laughs and says she remembers. Yoon brightens. It turns out his wish is to ride in her red sports car. He want to ride in the whip with the sounds bumping. He calls it the car with wings. The nanny immediately steps in. No, this ain't no royally approved vehicle. You can't ride in that, baby Yoon. He throws a hissy fit. He falls upon the ground because this is the only car with wings in South Korea. This is the only car of this kind in the country. And she's like, protocol. A virtuous man follows protocol. He's 8. Yoon is pouting. He has a full-blown tantrum. He's laying on the rocks on the ground. Back at the palace, Ian is preparing to leave only to find out that his nephew is at his house with the Prime Minister Jungwoo. Ian climbs into his very nice car. Choi is stressing. You'll be back before the gates close, right? Drive safe, seatbelt. Apparently one thing they can do is drive. So he like, I'm gonna drive myself. And it's a very nice car. He drives off. So we cut back to Yoon, who is now smiling incredibly brightly because he finna ride in the car with the wings. Yes, baby. I guess child passenger laws are different in Korea because he's in the front seat and that's not allowed here because of airbag issues. But I digress. So Heeju, Jungwoo, and the nanny are standing by the car. The nanny looks sick with nerves. She's listing a million things and reminders about driving the king. And Jungwoo whispers to Heeju, asking why she needs to drive him. Like, why can't you have one of the royal drivers do it? And mother is like, this is the only one of these cars in all of South Korea. You not gonna drive my one-of-a-kind special edition car with the wings? And valid. I ain't letting no stranger drive my car. So the nanny says they'll have escort vehicles. She can't go over 40 miles an hour. She has to stay on the phone with the nanny the whole time. All that extra woo woo woo. And I'm surprised the nanny agreed to it because she close with Debbie Mama and she know Debbie Mama is crazy. Crazy. So Heeju assures her he'll be safe. They head out in secret to keep the king away from public eye. And the drama begins. Well, not quite. So at first, it's smooth. Everybody's chilling. I'm chilling. You chilling. We chilling. Tranquil music is playing. Yoon looks over and goes, we're going too slow. Open this thing up. Heeju gives it some gas. And he rolls his window down and he's like, yeah. But when she tries to slow back down, the car speeds up on its own. Remember all of these car warnings we got? And now my baby boy in the car. She presses the brake, but the car goes faster when she presses the brake. Like they switched the brake and the gas. It's flying. They're going over 100 miles an hour. At one point, they clocking 140 on the dash. And I'm like, cars be going that fast. Jungwoo is trailing behind in his car. He's trying to keep up. He's panicking. He's yelling out the window. Heeju, what's wrong? What's wrong? Yoon is crying. Heeju is desperately trying to steer around cars ahead of her without crashing, while the vehicle is completely out of her control. So all she can do is just steer and make sure they don't hit nobody while it's going at these like intense speeds. It's harrowing. So they're flying through the city in this gorgeous car, tears streaming down her face as she tries with all her might to avoid an accident. Yoon is sobbing. They sideswipe a truck. She tries to navigate the speed. Mother then sees the off-ramp for the expressway exit and hits it, attempting to like grind against that guard railing to slow herself down, and sparks are flying, but the car is not slowing down. It's crazy. We still at 130 on the dash. I get my cheeks a little tight when I hit 100. We doing 130 and I can't control it. I hit the brakes. Like what? Next thing we know, a car flies out of nowhere right in front of them and slams on its brakes right in front of her, forcing her to to ram into it to slow down. We know it's Prince Ian because we saw him leave the castle in it. So he is trying to kind of keep her hitting the back of his car while she smushed in between the guardrail to stop her. They run out of guardrail. Her car speeds up again. So Ian deliberately swerves in front of her sideways. So she smashes into him. Into two beautiful cars. Jacked up. In fact, them cars should have been tore up worse than what they showed. But I'm not directing them. So they violently come to a stop and woo chow. Marred. Because the baby was in the car. And my girl Hee-Ju. Because you know I don't play about Hee-Ju. AKA IU. Baby boy is going to think that playing hooky means sudden danger and death. The car stops. We safe-ish. Smoke is pouring from the hood. Hee-Ju and Yoon are holding hands, shaking. She looks up through the cracked windshield, and out of the wreckage, out of the car, steps Prince Ian. He turns toward the car. Blood is dripping down from his temple. This is the most artful blood I've ever seen. But he's still managing to look 100% regal and princely because it's artful blood. The blood is artful. And then the OST In Your Orbit starts playing as they make intense eye contact. Through the glass, Hee-Ju looks terrified, confused, and relieved. And the episode ends and scene. Honey, they don't care about my blood pressure. 5 heart attacks and you end the episode like that. I blame Lord Ip. I already think it's Lord Ip. I don't think Debbie Mama knew, but I think Lord Ip knew. I don't trust dude. So apparently somebody sabotaged our girl's car while it was getting fixed on after being hit in the parking lot. My bets are just on Lord Ip. Sorry, use the grandfather. Little did that evil man know that his own grandson would be in the car. So the king in the passenger seat, you got my baby in danger, my heart hurt. These palace people are crazy. And that, besties, is wrapped for episodes 3 and 4. What do you think? Who do you think cut the brakes? Leave your feedback in the comments. Give me 2 weeks and I'll be back with episode 5 and 6 because it is getting juicy. See you soon, besties. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Annyeong.